She followed the script, from Hill to manifesting. Looking back, it is tempting to believe my ex's journey into coaching and self-help was unique, a personal transformation sparked by individual curiosity. But the truth is far less mysterious. She followed a path that has been walked countless times before, a trajectory laid down by decades of recycled pseudoscience and borrowed belief systems. Her story mirrors the same script that has carried people from Think and Grow Rich to Tony Robbins, from alternative health to multi-level marketing schemes, and finally into the world of coaching and manifesting. What felt like her own discovery was, in fact, a pipeline designed to funnel people step by step into the ideology of your thoughts create your reality. The seed. Magical thinking becomes science. For her, the seed was what the Bleep Do We Know, the 2004 pseudo-documentary that mashed up quantum physics with New Age mysticism. It was not presented as philosophy or speculation, but as science. Its message was seductive. Your mind does not just influence reality, it literally creates it. From there, the ideas of Napoleon Hill began to circulate. Hill's Think and Grow Rich was presented in coaching circles as a classic, a foundational text. Rarely did anyone point out that Hill was a fraud who fabricated his connection to Andrew Carnegie and left behind a trail of failed schemes. His book was not based on science or evidence, but on salesmanship. Still, the message was clear and compelling. If you think correctly, wealth and success will follow. These two influences, pseudoscience presented as fact, and pseudo-business presented as wisdom, gave her the first taste of what would become a recurring pattern. The authority of alternative experts. There was the chiropractor. Alternative health practitioners often act as gateways into broader belief systems, blending authority with unverified claims. The chiropractor reinforced the idea that mainstream thinking was incomplete, that hidden truths existed outside conventional science and medicine. You became no longer a client, but a friend after fortnightly adjustments over 2 years. The special pillows, the wedge, the alternative products, each was presented as part of the solution. Yet never once was the obvious question asked, why, after 2 years, were you never cured? This was not just about health. It was about trust. Once you accept that the experts in white coats are holding back, you become more open to the promises of those who claim to have the missing pieces. This shift in trust paved the way for her to embrace coaching and NLP later. Coaching and NLP, structure for the belief. By the time coaching training entered her world, she was already primed. Coaching, particularly NLP-based coaching, provided the language and structure that made her earlier beliefs feel sophisticated. Concepts like frames, states, and identity levels gave the appearance of rigor. In reality, NLP has been widely discredited as pseudoscience, but as someone already invested in the idea that thoughts create reality, it felt like confirmation. It was a system that gave her beliefs credibility. Through coaching, she found not only tools but a community. Coaching peers reinforced the message. Transformation was available if you believed, acted, and invested enough. It was no longer just an idea. It was a practice. Tony Robbins. The guru moment. Tony Robbins entered the picture. His events, books, and recordings amplified the message she was already living. Robbins did not offer anything fundamentally new. He simply scaled up the ideology, turning it into theatre. For her, Robbins was proof that these ideas were not fringe but mainstream. He was a global figure filling stadiums, a man whose wealth and influence seemed to prove his message true. The fact that Robbins' model owed much to Amway's prosperity gospel and Napoleon Hill's shyster promises did not matter. What mattered was the validation. She was on the right path. The typical rags to riches stories always help. If I can do it, so can you. No one bothers to ask though, why do I keep coming back to his messaging year after year, paying my money? Why have I not become rich like him, when I am following his messaging? The multi-level marketing temptation, Jeunesse. It was not long before the multi-level marketing hook appeared. Around this time, she considered joining Jeunesse, a global network marketing company selling anti-aging products. The pitch came, predictably, through a coaching friend. The logic was classic multi-level marketing. We could buy the products anyway, so why not profit from them? Use them yourself, recruit others, and earn a slice of the sales. I pushed back. I pointed out that with a small circle of friends, her chances of making money were slim. I called it what it was, little more than a pyramid scheme. She resisted my criticism, but in the end she did not join. I stood my ground. Still, the fact she was tempted showed how closely the coaching world and multi-level marketing schemes overlap. Both use the same ideology: belief equals success, and failure means you did not apply yourself. They also sell the same dream: earn more by doing less. It was the very pitch she used when she first talked about becoming a coach after her corporate career. Coaching, like multi-level marketing schemes, offered the promise of freedom, fewer hours, more money, and greater fulfillment. The reality, of course, is very different. But the appeal of escaping the grind of traditional work by simply thinking differently was powerful enough to override skepticism. Yet even with the statistics, written by these multi-level marketing companies themselves, the truth is clear. 96% of people in their business will never earn more than a few $100s. So why do people not ask, why am I not getting rich like the claims? Why are the top voices making the money, and not me? Manifesting and wealth consciousness. Even without multi-level marketing, the next step came easily. Manifesting and wealth consciousness ideologies were everywhere in her circles. Coaches, trainers, and peers promoted the law of attraction as if it were science. Wealth was framed as not only achievable but inevitable if you aligned your mindset. Here the prosperity gospel resurfaced in secular form. In Amway, wealth was proof of God's blessing. In Robbins' world, it was proof of personal power. In coaching, it became proof of alignment and growth. The language shifted, but the moral logic was the same. Success is virtue, failure is a flaw. Figures like Gabby Bernstein amplified this message further. Drawing from Marianne Williamson's A Course in Miracles, Bernstein recast prosperity thinking as spiritual truth. Gratitude became a kind of prayer, the universe became God in softer clothing, and manifesting wealth became the ultimate proof of faith. For someone already immersed in coaching culture, voices like Bernstein's gave the ideology a glow of authenticity and higher purpose. For her, this phase reframed even the most destructive choices as progress. Ending relationships, redefining commitments, and pursuing new desires were not betrayals but breakthroughs. Growth became the justification for harm. So why, after showing gratitude to the universe, did I not become wealthy? I was doing everything asked, everything I was reading. I was thinking positive, showing gratitude, buying every form of self-help I could to be the best I could be. Why does no one ask the real reason I was not succeeding? Why is the belief in something proven over 10 years as false stronger than a relationship? The consequences. The cost of this trajectory was not just financial. It destabilized a family, rewrote history, and reframed loyalty and love as limiting beliefs. What began with a film and a book evolved into an ideology that reshaped how she saw herself, her marriage, and her future. It is easy to look at each step, what the Bleep, Napoleon Hill, the chiropractor, Robbins, Jeunesse, manifesting, and see them as separate. But together, they form a clear pipeline. Each stage normalizes the next, each community reinforces the message, and each ideology builds on the last. Her story was not an isolated transformation. It was the predictable outcome of a system that has been selling the same recycled promises for decades. The cult shadow, NXIVM as the extreme. What makes a story more unsettling is how easily it could have tipped into something even darker. The path she walked was the same one that led others into NXIVM. Keith Raniere built his organization out of the very same ingredients: Amway-style salesmanship, Robbins' theatrical self-mastery, and NLP reframed as breakthrough technology. His executive success programs attracted people who were searching for growth, self-improvement, and freedom, the same promises my ex was chasing. What they found was not transformation but control. NXIVM was not unique in its ideas, only in how ruthlessly they were applied. When she first began describing integral leadership to me, before she was too far into it herself, I told her it sounded cult-like. She replied that I was not the first person to say so. At the time, I thought little more of it. Now, in hindsight, the resemblance is impossible to ignore. Robbins has a cult-like following. Coaching communities create their own cult-like loyalty. Jeunesse simply removed the corporate polish and pushed the model to its extreme. The result was a true cult, one that exposed the shadow that lives inside every version of this industry. When I look back at her trajectory, I see how close the parallels are. She was searching for the same things NXIVM members were searching for. What saved her from going that far was not discernment, but circumstance. The bigger pattern. What strikes me now is how closely her journey mirrors the larger history of self-help. Napoleon Hill was a fraud. Amway wrapped capitalism in Christianity. Robbins industrialized belief as entertainment. NLP gave pseudoscience the language of psychology. Multi-level marketing schemes promised wealth through community. Manifesting dressed it all up as universal law. She did not create her path. She walked a script that was already written. Coaching and self-help industries laid the stones, and like millions of others, she followed them, one after another, believing she was forging her own way. Predictable growth. When coaches talk about growth, they present it as personal, individual, and unique. But the reality is far less romantic. Growth, in this world, is scripted. The trajectory is laid out in advance, and the individual simply plays their part. My ex believed she was transforming, that she was discovering truths others could not see. What she was really doing was following a pattern designed to sell ideas, products, and services. Her story is not hers alone. It is the story of an industry that has perfected the art of turning belief into business over and over again. At its core, both coaching and multi-level marketing schemes sell the same dream. They promise that you can earn more by doing less, that freedom is just one breakthrough or one mindset shift away. It was the dream she embraced when she left behind her corporate career for coaching, just as it was the dream pitched by Jeunesse and every multi-level marketing before it. The reality is much harsher. Most never reach the wealth or freedom they are promised. What they do achieve is a reframed view of failure, one that always points back to them, never the system. In her mind now, she no doubt sees what she did as manifesting success. A new life, a new house. All because she acted through coaching on removing the block of the last 10 years, me. But no thought to why the belief system never worked, why the self-help books never worked, why the meditating did not work, why the affirmations did not work for those 10 years. Walking away from a marriage and finding someone with wealth did.